Welcome back to the channel. This is Painful Pages. My name is Ryan, and today I want to share with you my horror and manga TBR for the month of February 2026. As with all my TBR and recap videos, I will do the horror books first, then move on to the manga. So there will be chapters at the bottom, so if you do want to skip ahead to just the manga, feel free to do so, but obviously it would be lovely if we were to have you stay for the entire video and enjoy it. So for the horror books that I'll be reading in February, I have 5 on my TBR this month, starting off with Starve Acre by Andrew Michael Hurley. The only one of his I have read is Devil's Day. I have to be honest, I didn't really enjoy it that much. The first half was pretty good, but it sort of petered off towards the end. Didn't really go where I was sort of hoping or expecting, and I ended up just not really enjoying it. I was quite happy by the time I'd got to the end of it to have it out of the way. Decided to give him another go though. One book isn't really enough to sort of judge an author by, I don't think. So I'm going with Starve Acre. It does sound quite interesting. It's about a couple that have unfortunately lost a child quite young, and it's about how they are both grieving with this, and the things they're doing are quite sort of weird, and the truth they uncover about where they live is sort of darker than you could imagine. That's what I get from the blurb and the little I know about the book. So yeah, looking forward to reading it, hoping that I enjoy it more than Devil's Day, and if I do, I'll absolutely move on to another one of his books afterwards. So next up, we have an all-time classic, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. Need to know introduction. You all know what Dracula is. I'm sure loads of you have read this. We've all seen or read some adaptation of Dracula or the Dracula story at some point in our lives, I'm sure. I'm really interested to read it though. The only thing I know about it is that it's written in the style of sort of journal entries or letters. That'll be really interesting. It'll be the first time I've read a book in that style, so looking forward to that. And looking forward to just seeing what the original was like that all of these other adaptations have been based on. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. And up next, we have a book that's had some mixed reviews from what I've seen, and that is The Deep by Alma Katsu. Now, there's loads of books called The Deep, so I have to emphasize this is the one by Alma Katsu. I'm quite interested in this one. I have had it for quite a while now, though. I've been putting off reading it just because I made the mistake of looking up some of the opinions people had, and this is why I don't tend to do that if I can help it, because it does sort of affect my decision making, and I like to go into these things completely blind, and know as little about what other people has thought as possible, because I do tend to just enjoy most things, so I'm sure I will enjoy this. But it's about a lady who survived the Titanic cruise. 4 years later, she's on the sister vessel, the Britannic, during the war. I believe it must have been the First World War then, if my timings are right, with the Titanic. And it's about how the sort of the past from her time on the Titanic sort of come back to haunt her in either mental or physical ways. I don't know. I'm going to have to read it to find out. But looking forward to it. It sounds interesting. I just wish I hadn't really sort of looked into some people's opinions on it beforehand, but I am trying to still go into it with an open mind. And lots of people did really enjoy it from what I can see. So yeah, I'm sure I will as well. Up next is a book that you can't help but have seen positive stuff with throughout 2025. It was on so many people's top books of the year list at the end of the year. I've seen so many good things about it, and that is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver. Is it Cleaver? I don't know. I apologize in advance for that. But yeah, like I said, you can't help but see so many positive things about this. I've stayed away from knowing anything about the book as well. It seems like a very sort of classic idea to begin with, of a couple buy a house that's surprisingly cheap. Why is that? There's always a sinister past with it, and then things start to sort of unravel and go from there. And it's terrifying according to people. You know, it's in. I've seen people put it in their list of the scariest books they've ever read. So yeah, I'm expecting really, really high things from this. I'm sure I'll enjoy it, and I'm really looking forward to letting you all know what I think about it in my recap for February. And then up last is my start on the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, and that is, of course, The Gunslinger. So I picked this up recently in a secondhand bookshop. I already had volumes 2 and 3, but I managed to pick up 1, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm only missing volume 7 now. So it feels like a good time to make a start on this series. This is actually going to be my first foray into Stephen King, so I'm really excited with that. I've been putting it off and putting it off because I didn't want to fall into that rabbit hole of just reading Stephen King and nothing else. So I sort of wanted to broaden my horizons, read as many other authors as I can to begin with, and then make a start on the legend himself. So yeah, I started with the Dark Tower series because as a child, my mother had all the Stephen King books, and this was the series that really stood out to me when I did used to sort of look at the book and the covers and stuff like that. So yeah, really looking forward to that, and looking forward to having a long series to get into as well. So moving on to the manga that I'm going to read throughout February. Of course, I'm going to be reading a couple more Junji Ito. I'm not too far away from finishing all of his collection. I've only got 6 collections left to read. And the first one is going to be Shiver by, of course, Junji Ito. Now, I have read this book actually, but when I was going through the stories, trying to sort of construct my top 5 Junji Ito stories so far, I suddenly recognized some of these, but I thought I hadn't read the book. So I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing that I have no recollection of reading it. That might be a bad thing. It might be that just the stories were quite unmemorable to me. But yeah, I'm going to reread it anyway. Um, if I get halfway through, I'm like, oh, I actually do remember all of this. I'll just carry on. So there's no harm in rereading a manga, especially Junji Ito. So yeah, really looking forward to reading this one and reminding myself of the stories in there. And then up next, my second Junji Ito that I'm going to read this month. This is one I definitely haven't read before because I've literally just bought it. And that is Uncanny. I believe this one was published in 2024. So very, very much approaching the sort of the most recent releases of his collections. And yeah, looking forward to this. Like I said, once I've read all of them, I'm going to be doing my sort of top 5 stories of his. So yeah, really excited to see what's in this one, and hoping one or two of them might make the list. And then up next, we have a new series that I'm starting. Really excited for this one. This one has been on my to read list for quite some time now, and that is Homunculus by Hideo Yamamoto, I believe. Yep, Hideo Yamamoto. I thought I'd got that wrong for a second. So I don't know too much about the story. I'm going in with just reading the blurb. It's about a man who's down on his luck, gets offered a large sum of money to take part in a sort of secretive surgical experiment. I'm assuming it turns him into some sort of homunculus. That would be my guess based on the title and the blurb, but who knows? I know nothing more about it other than that. Monster is one of my favorite mangas that I've ever read. I have all of them just down there to my right from your perspective. And from what I've seen people say online, if you enjoy Monster, you'll often enjoy Homunculus. So it's been on my to read list for quite a while. I finally managed to get the volumes 1 and 2 collection for my birthday. My girlfriend very kindly bought that for me. So yeah, really looking forward to making a start on this. And then last up is the continuation of my Delicious in Dungeon, or Dungeon Meshi, depending on which one you want to call it, read for the year. So I've got volumes 4, 5, and 6 there. I've watched the anime. I believe the anime, where the anime got to, sorry, is in somewhere in these volumes, if not like maybe the end of volume 6. So yeah, really looking forward to getting to where the anime's got so we can see sort of where the story goes from there. This is such a good series. The comedy in it is great. Very much takes that sort of classic fantasy dungeon explorer trope, the 4 classes, the party, all of that kind of thing. Doesn't flip it on its head per se, but it does add something really unique and interesting with it being almost like a cookbook in terms of how they make the recipes from the monsters and things like that. And the food illustrations are amazing. They look great. They give you full recipes as well. Not that we can go out and find mandrakes to use, but it's so well thought out. There's so many sort of attentions to detail. It feels like it is like real recipes being sort of made and shared with us, alongside the actual really good sort of like dungeon explorer story there is as well that does have more elements to it. So I highly recommend this series. It's so good, and yeah, like I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes from here once I get past where the anime's got to. So that's it for my TBR for February 2026. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books or manga, what you thought of them. And as always, please do remember to like, share, and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. Obviously, the channel is still very new. We're still trying to get it out to more people. So even just viewing it is super appreciated. I really do appreciate that. And yeah, like I said, please do let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Start a bit of a conversation up there. That's really great as well. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.